Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another episode. So we are ready for another day of investigation into dawah ilallah and how to give the message of Islam to our friends and our family and to those around us, be they Muslim born or non-Muslim born. Dawah is to be given to the whole of humanity. So we've been looking at Islam at the different aspects that are important in doing dawah, the characteristics that we should have as a da'i, and the characteristics that we're inviting people to adopt in their lives. And we're looking in this series at how we can be effective. Sometimes we do dawah for the sake of dawah. And some people just go out and they're so busy doing nothing that they're so busy that they're doing nothing. And sometimes we go out and do dawah, it's not strategic, it's not focused, it's not done correctly. And so we find that we don't have any results. So the idea is to show you in this series how to be effective in calling to submission to Allah. And that is the whole idea behind dawah ilallah. And we are going through a book entitled Dawah ilallah that helps us to understand, inshallah, how to be effective in the work that we are doing. So an important aspect of dawah is to invite people to preach and practice freedom of man, to teach men how to be free from slavery, from the slavery of men until the voluntary slavery to Allah and to the brotherhood that can be created by joining the greater family of Islam. That's what we are trying to do. Every human being is a slave. There is no such thing as a free man. We're all slaves. We are slaves to the system. We are slaves to economic strains. We are slaves to the bank. We are slaves to our job. We are slaves to our husband. We are slaves to our wives. Our children are slaves to us. Whatever, we're all slaves. We're all serving something. But the vast majority of the world are slaves to shaitan. We are slaves. Whatever he says, we do. Whatever he bids, we do, because we haven't submitted to Allah. So you have a choice. You're either a slave to shaitan, or you can voluntarily move away and become a bond slave to Allah. And if you don't know what a bond slave is, you're welcome to look at a few episodes ago where we spoke about what a bond slave is. Now we're going to continue with the book and read what the brother has written regarding how to establish brotherhood and freedom of slavery amongst those people who come into Islam.
Mughira bin Shuba, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, a Muslim emissary, had explained the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ to the chief of Iranian forces in the following words: "We are not traders. We do not aim to look for markets. We are the flag bearers of the right deen. Allah is one. Muhammad is his prophet. Quran is Allah's command. Man is not a slave of man. All men are brothers to each other. Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya."
How beautiful was that? We should all have that written in our homes, that we are not traders, even though they were. They were traders, they were businessmen. This man is talking as a businessman to the people that he had visited. And when he was asked to explain Islam to them, he says, the selling of products is just by the way. We are not traders. Our aim is not to look for new markets. As a businessman, even though you are selling products, your prime directive, to use a Star Trek term, your prime directive is to be a flag bearer of the right deen. And so he says in the open line, we are not traders, even though he was. We are not looking for new markets, even though he was. Our main aim is that we are flag bearers of the right deen. Subhanallah. Imagine if businessmen opened up their conversations when maybe they had a big business meeting at Wall Street, and there's a Muslim businessman coming in, and as he sits down, he says these same lines. Imagine today in society if businessmen said this, if they opened up their meetings with non-Muslims in this way. Thank you for inviting us to your meeting. We are not here to do business. We are not here trying to find new marketplaces. We are here as Muslim businessmen to be flag bearers to the true deen of Islam. And that Allah is one, his next line he says, and Muhammad is his prophet, and the Quran is Allah's command. Man is not a slave to a man, and all men are brothers to each other. Imagine if we had the courage to be like this man. Imagine if we had said that in today's society, if our businessmen had the courage to do that, to open up. And Allah blessed this man. Allah made this man even richer if we read the history of his story, because he opened up every dialogue with that. SubhanAllah, imagine if we could be like that. We put this into our lives. Sometimes when we go to speak to people and our businesses and our practices that we have in life, but we have to try to apply this into our lives. Inshallah, this is the aim of Islam. This is what Islam is all about. Our first and foremost requirement is to call people to Islam. Secondary is how we're going to make money. And if we did that, you know how many people would respect us more? They would respect you more. I have people that I know who say, you know, one thing about you, you're consistent. You keep talking about Islam, you're consistent. And so that's supposed to be a criticism. I take that as a compliment when somebody says that. They say, oh, one thing for sure, you're just consistent. You're consistently in that religious mode. That's what my brother would say. But that is how we should be doing business. We should be opening up by giving the call to Islam. We should be opening up our conversations. We should open up. When you open up your business tomorrow morning, call a staff meeting, whether they all be Muslim. Doesn't matter if they're all Muslims. And you get them all to sit down and you have a 5-minute chat about Islam every single day before you go into the business day. You do not do business, do not trade until everybody has gathered in the boardroom or wherever it is that your staff never get to go to. And if you're the owner of that business and you've got a boardroom for your directors, all your staff are going to come and sit in that boardroom, because there are no slaves in Islam. And so you're going to bring them into the place where they have never been before to show that you are true Muslim. Doesn't mean that you don't have to have that healthy distance between the employee and the employer. But at this 5 minutes every day when you start your day off, you are all brothers one to the other. And then you go back to your work. You need to prove that you're a Muslim. How are you going to be able to do dawah if they see Muslims as separate? One of the sad things that we see in many countries in the world is that many Muslims don't employ Muslims in their workplace because they want to stay open longer. And if they have Muslims working in their workplace, they'll have to close during Salah time. So they have that in the back of their mind. And you think there's going to be barakah in your business. You think that you're going to get money and you're going to survive. Allah knows the intention of the heart. And if your intention of the heart is to stay open an extra 20 minutes, then there is a great problem in the Muslim Ummah. If those non-Muslims who are working in your business place have not been told and given the opportunity to accept Islam, you are also showing that this Muslim Ummah that we are living in is in a seriously bad shape. We have to be doing dawah. Call someone in your area. If you don't know how to talk to your staff, if you don't know how to speak to your people about Islam, call an organization. There are hundreds, thousands in the world. They can come and they will be more than happy to do a 20-minute presentation on Islam to your staff. So we have to make Islam practical in our lives. We need to make dawah practical in our lives. How to do it in our day-to-day context. One of the most effective forms of dawah that I've found in doing it amongst businesses. I have businessmen phoning me all the time to come and talk to their staff, because in South Africa I have a radio program that I do, which is similar to what we're doing now. And on this show I get people phoning me and asking me, can you come to my business and talk to my staff about Islam? And so I've started a new program now. You know the reps, you know what a rep is? A representative from a company. He'll come to, say you have a store that you are selling all sorts of different products in, a convenience store. So these reps will come from these different companies. And they'll come and they say, well, we've got this new laptop or palm top. We want to show you about it. Would you like to buy 20 to sell in your shop? They have these reps. So what I've started is a new class, a new course, and you can apply this in the country you come from, where we get those Muslim businesses, when they get the reps, to come around at the same time. All the reps must come at the same time. And the reps all come and we have a lunch for them. And then we have the speakers that present a series of talks to the reps about how to be successful in doing business amongst Muslims. Don't you think that's what they want? They want to make more money. We are going to show them how to make more money out of Muslims. but we're doing dawah to them. So we say, we have a speaker who will stand up and speak to them for 15 minutes and say, when you come to a Muslim home or a Muslim business and you want to speak to them about buying your product, this is how you should dress. This is how the clothing that would be more acceptable, and they'd be more open to listening to you if you dressed like this. So we're giving them suggestions on modesty. Then the next speaker will come in and say, this is how you talk about business investment with money. And he'd be talking from a Sharia compliant background on how to deal with finances. And then somebody else would come in and say, this is how you greet. If you're a woman, don't extend your hand, he's not going to shake it. So you see, we're helping them to be more effective, how to use terminologies, but at the same time, we've given them dawah. And they've sat there and taken notes and written down all these things. You see, it's easy to do dawah. Dawah is not complicated. It's very, very easy to do, and it's very situational. So you can apply it to every area of your life. Don't always do it in the same old way as it's been done all the time. Think of the needs of the people. This is how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did his dawah, how he called people to Islam. He went to the situation that they were at, and he spoke to their lives at where they were. He didn't wait for them to come to him. He would speak to the people where he saw them. He would reach out to people where they were, be they rich or be they poor, be they businessmen or not. And we find much of the work of that early Muslim community, it was businessmen that kept it going. And so businessmen, we must not forget, that are very, very important for us to help them, because they are employing our brothers and our sisters. They are helping us to be successful in the work that we're doing, and some of them support Muslim organizations and the work of Muslim organizations, so they're very important. So we as da'is need to help them to keep that business going, because they are keeping other businesses going. They are keeping Muslim organizations going. If we lose our businessmen, we lose many of these Muslim organizations, lose a lifeline. So they're very, very important.